What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you know who it is. My name is John, American, been living here in China for 14 years. And this is the very first episode of the Viewpoint Abroad podcast. As you can see, I got my co-host here with me. I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself and some background on himself real quick.
Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Alex. You can just call me Alex. Very simple. Um, a little bit about myself. I mean, I'm former military, just like John is. You know, I ended up joining a little bit after he did back in 2007. I forgot exactly when you joined. Is like what 2005
Uh,
or
a long,
something, if I'm not
long time
mistaken.
ago, I can't remember.
2001.
long,
Yeah.
long time ago.
Anyway, I've been living around Southeast Asia for about 15, almost 16 years, and I've been to various places. Got introduced um, to it in South Korea, where I was stationed. I lived there for about 6 years. Then I ended up going back to the States for a year, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to be here. Where can I go? So I ended up, long story short, we could talk about this in future podcasts. But I ended up going to China, lived there for about 7 years. And after I left, went back home for another year. And now I'm living over here in Vietnam. So I just want to say what's up to you guys. And hope you all enjoy this podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here to do this with me too. This is pretty cool. So as y'all know, we've both been living abroad for a long time, so we can share a lot of information with y'all about living abroad. But today, I got a couple of things in mind that I want to talk to you about. Since I'm still here in China, we used to be here, you're not here, and this is one of the
Yeah.
things that I've noticed a lot, and even I'm kind of guilty of this myself. But a lot of people who I've met in China, they say like, you know, I'm just here for a short time, and they end up staying, several years. Or sometimes like, oh, I can't wait to leave, then they leave, and then they come right back, or they leave and they want to come back. I hear them say all the time, I want to come back. Like, I'm just curious, like, what is your thoughts and opinions on it? 'Cause I have my own, but I'd like to hear yours too, since you're no longer here. So what's your idea or your thoughts and opinions? Why this is like a phenomenon? Why this happens to people in China?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Try to look at it from, I guess, different angles and perspectives. Um, I guess I was one of those people that actually I didn't really want to leave, but I had an ultimatum, but I ended up kind of leaving anyway. And after I left, you know, all I could really think about was like going back. I was constantly messaging my friends, and I was like, "Yo, how can I go back? What can I do?" Actually, it's quite simple, but I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to experience something else, but not to get off track. Uh, there's like two types of people in China. I think you would agree. There's these foreigners that come over there, and they don't really embrace the culture. They don't go out and experience what China is really like, or they buy into the stereotypical propaganda that comes from different I guess media outlets. So like I said, they don't embrace them. They don't embrace the culture. They don't see. So they have a miserable time the whole time they're there. It's pretty much they're there just for the monetary gain,
Yeah,
right?
I see.
So these are the
Oh,
type.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say
Sorry.
a lot of those guys that you're talking about now, I see them get kind of stuck in these expat bubbles, and they don't really
Yeah.
learn anything about the language or something, interact with local people. They just get stuck in that thing, and then yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
See, well, no, you're good. See, but these are the people that I wouldn't necessarily say that like they hate it, but maybe they'll have like a I guess not really a positive what you call it, like experience in China. They have like I said, they don't really embrace the culture or the people, the food or whatever. They kind of, like you said, they stick into this little expat bubble, and that's all they know. But then there are people like us, where we immerse ourselves, and especially having lived there for so long. We go back home, and I'm sure that you could agree with it. You almost witness like this reverse culture shock. I'm sure you can attest to that. You go back home, and home doesn't feel like home, and you was like, yo, I just want to go back. So I think it's a lot to do with these type of things, and also the convenience of life. China is very convenient. I think pretty much you can agree as well, if I'm not mistaken. Most of Southeast Asia is very convenient. Travel, food, residence, everything is cheap. Like, they make it so convenient for people because they want you to be a contributor to society. That's why they made these type of things cheap. And like I said, if you go there and you embrace the culture, you find it out for yourself. Like, yo, I don't have these luxuries or conveniences back home. That's why some of us loan to go back. Is because of these types of conveniences that are presentable there, amongst other things. What about your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I agree about that 100% as far as the, the convenience and, the lifestyle and stuff like that goes, like, for, the lifestyle you get for the money you spend, and like you said, just being convenient too, like, you can kinda do anything you want within super close
Yeah,
proximity to your house, or even if you just wanna travel somewhere else, it's super easy to get to any place, you wanna go in Asia, that's super convenient, but, like, one of the things that I've noticed, I'll just tell you this from my experience, like, not from myself, but, like, people that I've met, like, some people I've known
yeah,
that they've came here and they said, "Oh, I just plan to stay here for, 6 months or 1 year," and then 5 years later, they're still here, and as you mentioned
yeah,
about the convenience, a lot of them just fell in love with the convenience of it, and then they started to, like you said, immerse in the culture, and they end up staying for a longer time than what they expected because they found out, it was much different than what they initially thought it was gonna be. Um,
yeah,
so I find that kinda interesting. But, as far as people, leaving and coming back, I'll tell you a story about this guy I know, also an American guy. He was here in China for about 8 years, and he was working here as a teacher, and, he was like
yeah.
a legit teacher. He had his teaching license and all this other stuff, and he had, married a Chinese lady and all this stuff, and, they were like, "We're gonna go back to America." So he packed his bags, him and his wife, they went to America to live, and he was working as a teacher in America, and after 1 year, he came right back to China, and I asked him why, and he said he couldn't stand working with the kids in America. He's like, "The kids in China are so much better to teach. They're, like, much more respectful to teachers and things like that." That's what he says, which I can't say for myself. I've never taught in America, but, going by him,
You see, I thought it
some
would
of
be.
those things.
I'm sorry. I thought it would be kind of like, I mean, the opposite in a way. And like I said, that's just not to, you know, um, I guess, offend anybody. But from my experiences teaching in China, man, the kids were pretty naughty. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I was just get spoiled or whatever. And also, you have a way larger class size in America. You probably have max, what, like 15
Yeah.
students in classes, especially if you're teaching like, uh, I don't know, kindergarten through primary school. I don't think I had a lot of students in my classes, but so I thought that would be kind of easier. But uh, I'm sorry. What was his reason to like come back? Is because of the kids' misbehavior
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
way that things
the
are
the
turning?
misbehavior and the
Yeah,
disrespect towards the teachers and, also nowadays with, the way things are, this whole new culture thing going on in America, it's like, the things that we didn't grow up with those things, but nowadays you
yeah,
kinda have to, walk on eggshells around people or you lose your job or something happen or, you just offend somebody by saying the wrong thing at all, and because of those things,
yeah.
that's why he packed up and came back to China, um, but
I mean, it's
yeah.
understandable. I'd imagine, you know, um, even if he's legitimate, if he's a legitimate teacher and qualified or whatever, I still think, like, I guess salary wise, you still get paid more in China, and you have to deal with less of these type of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I think the parents in China, they're still very adamant about education. And I mean, yeah, the kids are naughty sometimes, but like, yo, if you say, "Hey, I'll let your mom and dad know what you're that you're misbehaving. Then, the Chinese parents, they would most of the time have a severe, I guess, a reaction, because like I said, uh education is very I mean, the this is the simplest way to articulate, is very important to Chinese
Yeah.
parents. They invest a lot of money.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
experienced that a lot in the past too, but, to you've been gone for a while, but to be honest, since, the post-COVID thing, a lot of things have happened in the education in China. Like, a lot of the places have closed and things like that, and they've eliminated all these kinda extra classes and all this stuff because parents can't
yeah,
afford it because they've driven the prices so high nowadays, and so now there seems to be well, from my experience the past 3 years, not as much
yeah.
emphasis on the education from the parents because 'cause I've given tasks to kids
Mm,
and, told their parents, and the parents just straight tell me, "We're not gonna do that. It's too difficult. We're not gonna spend any time on that." So it's like kinda but back
yeah,
in the day, it was like that super strong focus on education. It seems like it's kinda slowly drifting away a little bit,
yeah.
but
Well, here's the thing. Not to, like I said, not to try to veer off topic a little bit. There's also some kind of I don't know, dare to say, I guess, a revolution happening in education, where traditional education is not really doing so much, because these days, kids' attention spans and all that is different. So there has to be some new way of learning.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yes,
But
I agree.
uh, but yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, so to kind of get us back into this topic, like, for example, like when you left China to go home, or to travel or whatever, what was the reason that, like, you wanted to, like, hurry up and come back?
Man, uh, it's hard to say. I don't know if it's just because I've been here so long. It for me,
Yeah.
China feels like home to me. I mean, I'll never be Chinese, I'll never be from here, but it still feels like home. It's like when I go to other
Mm.
countries, I travel a few times a year. When I go home, after 4 or 5 days, I start to, like, miss China and I wanna come back. The first 4 or 5 days are great, I enjoy myself. After that, I just wanna come back, and I don't know if it's just because I feel like I've been here for so long, this became my home, and so, I don't know, I'm trying to break myself of that habit actually because I can't stay here forever. So, you know
It's a strange
Yeah,
phenomenon.
yeah.
You know, it feels more like home in a quote unquote strange land than it does at home.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
It I
mean? They say home is where the heart is. That's like the oldest cliche. And yeah, I mean, bro, like I said, when I when I landed in Korea, it was like a weird sensation. I felt like it felt like weight like fell off my shoulders. Then I went when I went back to the States for a year after living in Korea for 6 years. I was like, man, this is I don't know how to really explain it, man. It's just like it feels like nothing changed. That's the best way I can explain it. It's like a stagnation.
Yeah, yeah.
In the States, like, people are not really willing to change. They're kind of hard pressed, But after I went through all the, I guess you want to call it, suffering or whatever, when I was over there back in the States. Then I landed in Shenzhen at the airport in Shenzhen, and I felt the same sensation all over again. It's like this peace, and I was like, I never been to China. I didn't know what to expect, but it just felt like I was at
Just
home.
can
You know what
let
I
me ask
mean?
you a question about that then, like, because when you like you said
Yeah.
you arrived in Korea, you arrived in China, like, that was you were going there to live, so you felt this relief. Did you have any of this type of same feeling when you travel to other places just, like, on vacation? Did you feel any type of relief feeling like that? Or did you like, so
Um.
I guess what I'm asking is when you were living there, were you still kinda, like,
Yeah.
in holiday mode? It's like when you go to a new place on holiday, you get this relief from work, so come to China to live. Do you feel like, the whole time you're living here, it's kinda like holiday mode, there's not stress?
Um. Hmm. That is an interesting question, because I was trying to think, how would a person from like South Korea or China or to answer how they feel about living in their home country. But you know, I don't want to say it's like easier for a foreigner. I mean, we did make a lot of sacrifices. I think, leaving a lot of stuff behind to try to make a life better. And the thing is, like, anybody could do it. The Chinese person, if they really wanted to, they go to US or go to Australia or whatever. And like I said, some people that I know, I'm not gonna name any names. They did this process illegally. They came to China with $500 in their pocket, bro. No visas, nothing, promise of a school. The school ended up dropping, and they give you a school at the last minute. You know what I mean? So it's like people are taking a risk to try to better their life. You know what I mean? And people from any countries, they can take the same type of opportunity. If you know what they say, if there is a will, there's a way. But to answer your question, I don't know if it was like it felt like a holiday. It's just like I said, it's things were definitely a lot easier amongst the challenges that we did face. Um, but like I said, it's just like I kind of embraced it in the, like I said at the beginning of this, when we started this like podcast or whatever. It's like, to me, what made it easier is like all the small little conveniences that you don't have in the States. That's what made it kind of luxurious. Like I said, you could take a taxi from one city to another city. I'm sure you probably done
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
before. It's so cheap, bro. In US, you're gonna spend like 300, $400 easily,
Yeah.
bro. You don't really need a car. I mean, I know you got a car, but you don't really need one,
Nah,
bro. You
you
can motorbike, public transit is like, I don't really like it, but I mean, I did it. I took buses, trains, got a bike, this, that. You know what I mean? The cost of living is so inexpensive. You know what I mean? Um, I would say this maybe more so for a foreigner living in places like China. Like I said, I am curious. Maybe one day we can interview, a Chinese person or whatever, and see what kind of challenges they might face in their own country. But yeah, man, it's like, I try to take everything into perspective, I guess.
yeah,
And it doesn't really feel like a holiday, like I said, to answer your question, but it felt like you had a bit more freedom, you know what I mean, in what some people call a communist country, which is a
yeah.
weird contradiction,
I
right?
that always blows people's mind when I tell them that, but I say it from my, I guess you say, from my heart. I honestly feel like I have more
Yeah.
freedom here than I ever had in America, uh, in a
You're not
certain way.
lying, bro.
I mean, of course, there's certain things that you
Yeah.
can't do or you shouldn't do, but that's everywhere you go, and I feel like
Yeah.
the personal things I wanna do every day aren't really restricted here, you know what I mean? Like, just stupid small things I can do, and nobody cares, you know? But,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's like the people say, "Oh, well, in China you can't do this. In Thailand you can't do this. In Vietnam you can't do." Each country got a certain different rules, bro.
Yeah,
Just because your country doesn't have this rule or has this rule, it doesn't mean the other country has to implement
yeah,
it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, this is so much is diverse,
yeah.
bro. And people just don't understand
But
this.
well, there's so many other factors too, you know. I mean, I know they say America has freedom, and but you can see the extent of the
Yeah,
freedom. They do have certain freedoms of expressing themselves and things like that. But imagine you're in a country with, 1.5 billion people, and everybody is doing
yeah.
this crazy stuff. Like, it should just be impossible to control. It'd be total chaos. So there's got to be a certain level of,
Mm.
laws and restrictions, I think. But
I think they should. Yeah, I agree. I think there should be some kind of standards because, bro, when it comes to things like freedom or this, they say it all comes with a price, and you see how people are now taking advantage of that.
yeah,
They're constantly pushing the walls of tolerance. What else? What's next? You
yeah,
gonna? I think I don't want to. I don't want to. Force the things that I believe on anybody else, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
yeah,
But
yeah.
man, there has to be some sort of limitations because there comes a point where you're just letting extremes
Yeah,
in.
you can't just have a
You
have
know
a
what I mean?
endless boundary, like, I mean, there is no boundary, like, you just can't have that. It's gotta be there's gotta be a point somewhere where you gotta say, "Okay, this is enough," you know? But, anyway, that's
Yeah.
beside the point.
But yeah. Do you want to lead us into the next part of this
Well,
segment?
actually, one of the things
or do you want to contribute something else? Sorry.
no, so well,
Yeah.
I guess one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because right now you told everybody you're in Vietnam. Have you had
Yeah.
that sensation in Vietnam? Like, 'cause when you went to Korea, you went to China both times, you said you felt this feeling like you had this burden lifted off your shoulders, like you felt this thing. Did you feel that
Mm.
when you landed in Vietnam for the first time, like, to know you were gonna live there?
Man, we talked about this behind the camera, man. I came to Vietnam as an act of complete like spontaneosity, or however you phrase it. It was a spontaneous
Yeah,
act. You know what I mean? I was working in Massachusetts, and I'm gonna try to make the long story short, but uh yeah, man, I was just like I got fed up with working with some people that should be leaders, and if they kind of failed to do that, I got tired, man. Saved up some money, bought a ticket, landed here. Dude, I didn't have any plan, man. I'll be honest with you. I had no plan. Kind of like in China, I just kind of came there on a whim. The last day before I flew to China, they said, "Hey, the school no longer wants you," and I was like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" They was like, "Oh, you fly over here, and while you're flying, we'll figure it out once you land." And I was like, back in those days, like I came to China in 2014. You came like
yeah,
way
yeah,
before me,
2010,
but
yeah.
man, that's how things were. That's how things were done,
That's
bro.
still done
You know what I
they're still
mean?
done
But
that way. That's the
yeah,
Chinese way sometimes, it's like last second, you
yeah.
know?
But I don't know, man. I didn't really feel this too much in Vietnam. Like I said, um, I keep going back to the same thing because it's just the truth. But I did feel that convenience, man. But here is the thing, man. Because when I lived in China, I've traveled through Vietnam before, before the whole pandemic or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
happened. And man, I remember, dude, I don't know if it was the Chinese money I was making or what it was, but I just remember Vietnam being significantly cheaper, bro. Now I came over here, man, they jacked the prices up on
Well,
everything, bro.
I've heard
Like
it's gotten more expensive
three,
after the COVID.
yeah, 3 times, 4 times more, man. And like since I've came here, I've been living in the same like place. They raised the rent twice, you know, and I was like, man, what's going on over here? So, and then the pay here is also significantly way lower than I was making in China, bro. Way
Yeah.
lower. So it might have been the money I was making in China while I was traveling through here, but I don't know, man. I don't really feel that. I can still, excuse me, I can still kind of, I guess, do what I want. You know what I mean? But I don't really feel that I think China was like the only place that I really felt that because in Korea, man, I just got out of the military and I was completely, bro, new to living abroad. I didn't know anything. I didn't know you had supposed to have a visa, just completely naive. So in China, it was the first time where I felt this like, man, I don't know, man. It was a beautiful experience, bro. Like being there for 7 years, and there's things I'm sure that as well as you, like I've hated,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. But overall, man, I met some great people, man, that helped me out a lot. But here in Vietnam, man, I don't know. I don't really feel that. Um,
Yeah, I've been to Vietnam, but I've never lived there,
yeah,
but I hear, like, mixed
yeah,
reviews about it from different people. Some people absolutely love it, and some people don't like it at all, and so I was just
yeah.
curious if you had that same, kinda, like, feeling of euphoria when you get there, not compared to, Korea and
Mm,
China. So, apparently, not
not
really,
real.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, bro. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still like I hate to say this, but in comparison, I guess it's definitely better than being in the States. And I'm not
Yeah.
like trying to run away in the States. I got family and I still like love America. You know what I
Right,
mean? I
right.
just don't really appreciate well, I wouldn't say appreciate it. Just bro, I just don't like what the things they stand for these days, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
It's
for me, myself, man, I think I'm just more, uh I think I just feel more I don't know how to say, just more alive being in another place
Yeah.
where things are different, you know? Like,
Yeah,
we
that
were
makes
talking
sense.
about the changes and stuff earlier, right? Like, people changing, but the place hasn't changed either, you know what I mean? Like, I can go back to my hometown tomorrow, and it's the exact same way
Yeah.
it was in the 1980s when I was born. Nothing has changed. The whole city is exactly the same. And, here where I'm at, it's like every month or 2, there's some new stuff. Like, there's a new place over here, a new building over there, a new whatever, a new shopping mall. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
something new all the time. And there's always some place you can
Yeah.
go just because, you're in a different country, you're a different culture, different language. There's always something new that you can explore, see, learn, even in your own city. But, back home,
Yeah.
you just ain't got that. It's just the same old stuff all the time. Just nothing changes.
But see, yeah, the experience that I had, like back home, I just say the states because those times that I did go back prior to last year, I didn't exactly go like home.
Yeah,
You know, I went to San Antonio. That's not my hometown. Then I went to Las Vegas. That's not my hometown. Then I went to Salt Lake City. That's not my hometown. I'm from South
yeah,
Carolina, right? Then uh then I ended up like when I left China, I ended up going to Michigan. And from Michigan, then I went back to my hometown. And after 15 years, bro, nothing has changed
yeah.
at all except for one thing. You know, the good old boys. I'm sure you guys
Yeah,
have them
yeah,
in
yeah, of
Kentucky,
course,
right?
yeah, we
You
got 'em.
know, yeah, they did clean up downtown. There's no more like drug dealers or drug users or crackheads or whatever. You know what I mean? So they really did clean that up. But as far as that goes, nothing really has changed at all. I felt like a weird sensation, bro. It's like, I don't know, man. Like,
For me, it was like going
it's
back
like,
in time.
yeah, man. It really is, man. It's like, and oh, one more thing, bro. That the whole reverse culture shock thing is like, I hate to say this, like even my own brother, man, I love him. You know, my sister, I love her, and I'm sure you love your
Yeah, yeah, of
family as well,
course.
bro. But it's just when you've been traveling for so long, man, it's like you go back and everybody is so unrelatable. And that's not to put ourselves like on a
Yeah, it's
pedestal,
just
but
different.
you can't relate it to
Yeah,
anybody,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
So I don't know if you have an experience with that or you want to share or anything like that. But for me, I just couldn't relate to nobody except for the people that were in the military with me who lived overseas before. And that was a very few, you
Yeah,
know?
I guess I could share with you a kind of like a funny little story of like, I went I had a girlfriend for a long time, for about 7 years, so, like, 1 girl for, like, a really long time, and so, I convinced her to go home with me just so she could see America. She'd never been to America before, so I took her to my hometown, and, well, first thing, it was the time we went was really bad because we went in the middle of winter, and it's cold cold as hell in my hometown. She's, like, the frozen to death because she's local Guangdong girl, but, like,
Yeah.
my family were asking her some of the most embarrassing questions. Like, I thought they were embarrassing, and I was like, I felt embarrassed for her that she had to answer this shit. I was like,
For
oh my god."
example,
They was like, "Oh, how's it like living in a communist country?" I'm like, "Why are
oh,
you asking this? This girl is from there. You think she's gonna be able to tell you, like, some stuff that, like, that it like,
yeah.
because people just in small town in America, like, I guess you visited the bigger city.
Well, Southerners are really
Yeah, yeah,
straightforward,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah.
Even though we do have this Southern hospitality,
Oh,
we're
yeah. We'll
yeah,
smile and tell you we don't like you. But,
yeah,
not like that it wasn't
but
like that kinda thing. They were all really friendly to her, but, small town, especially in a place like Kentucky, people just don't know anything, and
yeah,
they think of China as, like, South Korea, and the first thing that pops in their mind is, like 1930s oh,
North
yeah, North
Korea,
Korea, my bad. It's like 1930s
yeah,
communism and, like, North Korea type stuff like that. They think of that type of thing.
yeah,
So they think, like, people here are, like, heavily oppressed, and they can't do, like, all this stuff, and they always asking, like, "Oh, what about the Chinese president?" Or then they's like, "What do Chinese people think about the American president?" Like, asking all this, like, just questions, and I felt so embarrassed. I'm like, Y'all people never even left the city. Y'all don't know nothing." Like, I just felt embarrassed, like,
yeah,
that my own family had this such lack of knowledge, and not saying that I'm smarter than them, it's just the experience of traveling, and seeing other things,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like it just makes you realize, like, how big the world is and how much you can actually learn from going places. And I just found it shocking that people think this way. And I never, like, I probably thought that way myself. But then when I see it with my own eyes, my own family doing this, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. People really do this. It's kind of
Yeah.
embarrassing.
I never had this. I never had this experience, but like when I told when when I was in the states and people were like, "Oh, Alex, I heard you were leaving. Where are you going next?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to China." It was like, "Oh, you don't want to go there, man." It like dead ass, bro. It was like, "Don't go there, man. They will eat you." I was like, "Bro, it's like the most like like the thing is like it's like you say they don't know any better,
Yeah,
man. You know, so if you sit there in a small um community or a city like this, you know, in rural America, and you watch the news, man, it'll fill your head with all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Make you believe, make you believe all kinds of, you know, weird scenarios or whatever, and you think it is true because, and that's the thing, man. It's like, um, you know, people who don't know or never been somewhere, they have the most opinions
yeah,
about
yeah,
it
yeah.
because, you know, their mind is constructed from, you know, these propaganda machines. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the funny thing is, prior to China, this, I lived in the Philippines, and when I lived in
Yeah,
Philippines and I went back home from living there, nobody said a thing because, Philippines and America are
yeah,
allies, and they say, "Oh, the Philippines, it's must be great," and they don't realize that I'm not gonna say it's worse, but it's different,
yeah,
and it's a third world country, right? It's not the same. China is leaps and bounds ahead of America, like 30 years ahead
yeah,
in terms of, infrastructure and technology, things like that. And people think of China as like Stone Age type stuff, and they thought Philippines is like, no, no big deal. When they hear China, they think, what the fuck are you thinking?
yeah,
Why are you doing that? Like, it's great over here.
yeah, man. It's yeah, I had the same type of like I said, experiences or whatever. But man, let me see what else we got to cover over
Well,
here,
let me
bro.
ask you a question before we'll just end this here soon. I want to ask you a question about your future plans. Do you have any plans in the future of, coming back to China or possibly going to another country in Asia or something like that?
I mean, you know, obviously, you know, this is for the audience. Me and you kind of discussed some of these things a while ago. I mean, oh, genuinely, man, I'd like to try living in Japan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for the new experience and new culture. And I know over there, man, it's like a strenuous work culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why there's so much. Well, you hear in the news people jumping out the windows because they have to work from like I don't know, 5 a.m. to like past midnight. You know what I mean? Even like for teaching English over there, I heard it's actually pretty difficult, man. Like they don't really mess around. It doesn't matter if you're a foreigner or whatever. You can't come and dress how you want to do. So they do have a strict, you know, policy. But I still kind of want to experience that. Maybe Thailand if I can find something. But as far as China goes, man, I mean, I was there for 7 years, bro, and like it's always a part of me. So in a way, yeah, I'd like to go, man. Because here's the thing, man. I'll be 100% honest with the viewers here, man. You know, my my 7 years in China was like a blur, man. I didn't really start going out and exploring things until maybe like my last year and a half that I was there, where I started kind of going out of my way a little bit. Um, so yeah, man, there's things bro, I can't believe I was there for 7 years. I never seen a Great Wall. I never went to like Xi'an and seen like the terracotta. I never been to like Inner Mongolia or Shanghai or anything like that, man. So I feel like I missed out. Like, yeah, these are just places, but it's like, you know, as someone who loves traveling, that seems like a contradiction in myself to me that I didn't go out and experience because as a young man, you know, I was out there chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
I
I
did that
mean?
too when I was young, which I've traveled all over China, well, all over Asia for the most part. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely some things that you want to see. But also, when I think back on it, like sometimes I don't feel it was super special, but maybe because at this point I've seen so many things. But, yeah, there's some
Yeah.
great things
But
about
still,
China.
man, it's like, there's something thrilling about going to, I wouldn't say unexplored places, but places that you've personally haven't
Yeah,
explored
yeah, yeah.
yourself. Like I said, going to, I know it's like you see it on Instagram or in social media, Shanghai, the Bund, you know what I mean? Everybody goes there, but like I've never been there and I'd like genuinely want to
Yeah,
go. I
yeah.
want to go to Chongqing, you know what I mean? And see that freaking cyberpunk looking city. So just the reason, okay, there are two reasons. Okay, I'm gonna go there, and you know, actually three reasons. I have a lot of great friends there. I like to go visit them. You know what I mean? Two is to go and explore places that I haven't been to before. And the last one, probably one of my favorite ones, is Chinese food, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, tell me Chinese food is probably some of the best food that I've ever had in the world, bro. And like I said, like you and me, we
I think
lived in
so.
so many different countries, but it's like some of your videos. Chinese food has the most variety of different types of food, and like, man, I fell in love with Chinese food, bro. Some people say it looks like oily or this and that, but it's not. That's not like the everyday thing. You know what I mean? There's so many different variation. Like for example, like Lanzhou
Yeah,
ramen.
yeah,
That was like one of my favorite Chinese style like Muslim
yeah.
food
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. So it's like, man, I miss stuff like that, bro. Like I really
Yeah,
do.
that's one of the interesting things about China, or one of the things that I love about China compared to some of the other Asian countries, 'cause, like
Yeah.
most of the places I've been to, like, for example, South Korea, there's, like, a handful of dishes, but there's not really, like, a huge variety, like, a lot of them kinda similar style or similar taste. Japan, something similar,
Yeah, that's true.
but,
I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say, but, like, in China, because China is so big, it's the same size as America pretty much, maybe slightly bigger, but, like, every place has their own food. So you can, like, literally
Yeah,
have
man, it's unique,
different
bro.
thing every
Yeah.
single day and never eat the same thing twice, and, like, it's always, like, some kinda adventure when it comes to that kinda thing. That's kinda interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, for myself, uh, there's I don't know how to explain it. I want to be honest with the people too, man, like, part of me wants to stay in China, but also part of me wants to leave. Not
Yeah.
because I feel any bad way about China, but, like, sometimes, man, you've said this to me plenty of times, not about leaving China, but, like, sometimes you gotta do something different, you gotta change a little bit if you wanna, you wanna grow or something like that. And I've been here for
Yeah.
14 years, and, I don't know, man, I might just kinda, like, need something new to,
Mm.
make my life more interesting or something like that, or make me feel happier or something, just experience that feeling again of, like, a rush almost, like going to a brand new place and,
Yeah.
for the new.
Brand new place, nobody knows
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
fresh
Yeah,
start,
that kind
you
yeah, that
know.
kinda thing. But, yeah.
Uh but the thing about, what I heard a lot about like people, me and you, people always tell me that it seems like we're always running from something, but I feel like it's not that. We're always running to something.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I
I'm not
mean?
running away. I'm just trying to, in a way, I'm trying to grow because, like, I don't wanna keep being the same thing, like, not saying I'm not happy with myself, but I don't wanna be the same thing I
Yeah.
was, 10 years ago. I wanna, like, be
Yeah.
evolving, you know what I
Well,
mean? And if you stay in the same place, it's hard to
this
do that.
Ex- exactly, bro. And I I concur and agree with you 100%, man. It's like I said, when I went back to the States, bro, not to put the homies down. Actually, I can't even say that. Maybe they're more so now associates than friends. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's got to be growth, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody, you go home and be like, oh, yeah, you changed. Bro, in 15 years, if you haven't changed, you're the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
You know what I
Something
mean?
wrong with you.
Of course, I've changed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
people that well, even
So you
my own
need,
family like that. My father like that, man. The guy ain't changed his whole life.
yeah,
He's dude's 70 some years old now, still the same way he was when he was probably 12. He's you know what I mean? Like some
yeah,
people would I don't know, man.
yeah,
I just
man.
wanna
But
grow.
yeah, I feel you, man. And like I said, I'm almost 100% percent. Well, I wouldn't say 100% certain. I can't predict the future, but we definitely would cross paths again. And for the viewers, here's the crazy thing about me and John. Me and John actually never met in real life.
Yeah,
Oh no,
we did once,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, we did because you came to
Yeah, yeah,
Vietnam. What
yeah,
am I
yeah.
talking
But
about?
not for a
But
long time.
we never met in real life in
Yeah.
China,
But we
bro.
met in China through the,
Yeah,
I can't remember how we met.
WeChat group,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, through some WeChat group or something, and we was talking about some music or something, and that's how we became friends. Cause we
Yeah,
both, like the hip hop music and stuff. We became friends,
yeah,
and then he left China before I got to meet him, and then I was like, "Well, I'll just come see you." I went and seen him in Vietnam.
yeah. Remember you were working in the Baoan,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was like, man, that's far,
Yeah,
bro.
you was in
Yeah,
Foshan at the time, and now here I
yeah,
am in Foshan.
yeah. But yeah, man. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope the viewers enjoyed this little podcast that we did today. Uh, I'm sure, there's gonna be future
Oh, for
ones.
sure, yeah.
And I'll let John end this with the whole, like, subscribe,
Yeah,
whatever, however you want to end
actually,
this.
they
We
should let
will,
us know, down below about what kinda stuff they'd like to hear us talk about so we can discuss that. Because on the next episode, we actually plan to do a live. We wanna go live and interact with all of you all live on the air. So,
yeah,
if y'all got some topics you want us to talk about, let us know. We can start that discussion, and y'all can join in the discussion with us on the live
yeah.
chat.
Well, see, actually looking forward to that because the live gives opportunity to some people to ask some questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I'm looking forward to it too. I just
yeah,
didn't wanna do it because 'cause I'm still a little bit under the weather, got a sore throat, and I didn't want this to mess up on that, so but we'll get them next time.
yeah.
Alright, y'all know what to
All
do.
right, bro.
Like,
Well,
subscribe, all that stuff. Come back. See you next time. See you, Alex.
all right, man. Take care,
Peace,
bro.
y'all.